Hello and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AKAAWOL, and today I am working on this bracelet, which is a second try at one that we already did based on a photo. And okay, so I was a little bit more prepared for this one. I didn't have the freak out at the beginning about getting the strings misaligned or whatever. And it was all done in less than 2 hours of work. Now that, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. When I tell you like it takes me 2 hours, it might be more like maybe 3 hours if you count stopping to, you know, after 20 minutes, go take a break, grab a drink, check my phone, do whatever. Like it's 2 hours of actual just work, right? Because once I hit record, it's nose to the grindstone until those 20 minutes are up, and then after that I kind of wander off a bit. But that said, it's still not too bad. I'm gonna guess it was like an hour and 40 actually, ballpark of actual work. And part of that is, again, we had nice segmenting going on. Not as easy as the previous one, as the brown one was. That one had some really long lines and had a lot of stuff going on. This one kind of broke it up into other little smaller chunks and made the Celtic-y part quite a bit different, quite a bit. At first, I was a little like, I don't know how much I like it, but the pattern itself has really, really grown on me. I realize it's not symmetrical from left to right, but the symmetry from top to bottom is really, really on point and makes it really, really interesting. In fact, if you try to trace the pattern around, it makes one continuous line going over and under itself with the, you know, like there's no part where it's like over twice or under twice. So that to me is like a serious win. Like I really like when the pattern does that. And it's got me wondering, like, if I were to make a single stranded version of this, how much more of that kind of pattern could I fit into it and make something really interesting. So I'm pondering the possibility that might be my next project, but we'll have to see how that goes. I'm really not committed to it just yet, but we'll see how it goes. These chevrons here at the beginning definitely is just about kind of using up space before we get to the main attraction of what this bracelet is. But at the same time, it kind of sets the groundwork for everything and makes it framed almost, I would say. Like, honestly, when you look at the bracelet, those outer pieces kinda, they don't steal the show. They leave everything for that middle area where it all really comes together. And I think there's something really, really nice about that. Not that I'm gonna do that with every bracelet or all the time or whatever. I'm just saying, maybe if there's like a segment like that you really like, instead of trying to do it thin and go like kinda putting two of these into a bracelet, going thick and just having the one piece, you know, kind of sandwiched between something simple. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, the lighting and everything. But the way that it turns out is just absolutely awesome. By the way, when we do the reveal, I'm going to put up both versions so that way you can compare the two yourself and see which one you like better. As far as color goes, Mandy says she prefers the brown one. As far as patterns go, she says she prefers the purple one. So yeah, I mean, there's some possibilities. Oh, did you see the scissors there? Somehow when I got the strings all lined up to do the kumi for the loop, I must have gotten the light purples off balance. So one strand was a lot longer than the other, and it drives me insane. So I did have to stop and snip a couple of strings because they were just somehow completely off balance, which was fine. It didn't put me at risk of running out of string or whatever. Like the pattern itself kind of used up string pretty evenly. And I didn't do anything fancy to try to change it. If the knot could go straight, I let it go straight. If it had to turn, I made the turn. That's all I did. So you do have to know how to make some knots, like the ones that go to the left and then the right, and the ones that go to the right and then left. You have to be able to do those. But there's an awful lot of just, you know, strictly going to the right or strictly going to the left that sort of makes it easier. And yeah, I really love how this one turned out. Pattern wise, I definitely think this one is my favorite. But again, I really like it when the Celtic patterns are over and under perfectly and do their thing. The other one also had, instead of over under in the middle, it just sort of joined itself in the center. And that, I mean, it's not wrong, you know, there's that, it's a look. It's just, I really like it when it gets a little bit more creative and does this thing. I don't know. I think that goes back to me doing Celtic artwork back in like junior high school. I was really big in doing it. In fact, I did one where I used like a 30-degree angle and made it isometric. So like isometric doesn't have the vanishing points like some regular drawings. You know, if you're trying to do a building, you want to have vanishing points so it looks real. I did isometric drawing of a Celtic design where it was going in three-dimensional kind of thing. And you know, that's probably why I'm like such a big fan of this kind of work. So yeah, it goes back a little while for me. You don't have to do it that way. There's nothing stopping you from being creative and change all the directions. You know, you could have made those top two bits right there more symmetrical, you know, but the symmetry of those top two bits balances with the bottom two that are going the other way. So in some ways it really just came out so cool. Also, I have to say that like the segment knotting to this is not as easy as the other one was. Like the other one had big patches, and here it kind of got broken up into smaller ones. But what I was trying to do was do the spots that needed to happen in order to do the longest paths. And so yeah, I did kind of optimize it the best I could. So if you're like kind of hung up and you want to try to figure out how to do this, you can use this video. I imagine what you would maybe do is like put the playback speed slower, and yeah, it's gonna make me sound weird, so maybe you just kill the volume and then listen to some music or something, and not alongside of me, because yeah, I kind of really had it going on with this one, and kind of proud of how well I segmented it. So, and it went, like I said, it went pretty quick. So there you go. What else can I tell you? Didn't have any problems with kind of keeping track of where the pattern was. I did follow the pattern closely to make sure I wasn't making any mistakes, but yeah, it went pretty easy. It wasn't bad. The only thing I can say that I might have done a little bit different was the fact that somehow there was a few cases where normally I just go for 20 minutes. There was a couple cases where I was so focused on the pattern that I missed the little count the timer thing that I have, and then realize like it's been 25 minutes or 30 minutes, and it makes it a little bit harder to do the video edit when I do that, as well as a little harder to upload the videos to the editor. So there are little things like that were the only real problems I had with it. And to me, getting so engrossed into the project isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like that just shows like I was enjoying the thing that I was into. You know, my focus got really, well, I guess that's ADHD, right? When you suddenly go into hyper focus and everything's working out. Yeah, totally happened. And yeah, I can't complain about that. That's kind of the good stuff. So I definitely think I want to do another pattern similar but different. I know that you can create the Celtic design by doing dark, medium, dark, light. And if I do that, I can put the light colors in between a little bit more and change things up a bit. So yeah, I think I might play around with that and see what we come up with. I'm even contemplating the idea of doing it with single-stranded, which would give me a lot more room to be able to actually work out a pattern that gets a little bit more intense perhaps than this. And I think it would be a good way to maybe show you guys how a pattern like that can come about. Like if I do it in real time and not based off of somebody else's, I think there's a possibility of like kind of teaching you how easily you can come up with something that's kind of complex and fun. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. Not sure if that's next. I have no idea what's next. I haven't actually come up with anything so far. So you can see, right, like smaller pieces here, right? The piece coming down cuts off sooner because it has to make room for the other one to go over top. So yeah, there was smaller segments to be done, and still it comes out looking so cool. Scooching it up so that way I don't have to have it so far away from the clip. Honestly, if you're struggling with tension problems, try keep moving the bracelet up under the clip. At some point, it'll hit the back of the clip and has to curl around and go under, but you can keep moving it up so you work closer and closer to the clip, and you should notice your consistency getting better. After a while of that, you can probably get used to the idea of working a little further away from the clip, but the practice is doing it closer to the clip. It will actually teach you to have better tension, and yeah, you'll see. Because part of it is the further away from the clip you get, the more the bracelet can kind of lift upwards towards you, and that will throw your tensions off completely. So you have to kind of learn to keep the strings down close to the board as you're working, and then that's the real trick. But the way to get there, the way to practice, is closer to the clip. It's a nice training mechanism, I guess. That's what I'm saying. So yeah. Oh, I'm past the halfway point. I need to thank my Patreon supporters and YouTube members for making this stuff possible. I couldn't do all that I do without their support. I know I often talk about how much it's about the string, but it's also about the webpage. These patterns are available for you to try out. You can go over to my webpage and try out the patterns. There's actually, if you go to where it's the tutorials tab and look in the drop down, one of the things is you can actually sort by the patterns. So if there's something in there that catches your eye, you can go to like that tutorial and give it a shot. So yeah, so thank you guys so much, really. I couldn't have done it without you. So yeah, we're we're almost to the end of the pattern again. And so you see how these things come back and a hook around to the left. The top one's kind of hooked around to the right. So there's that sense of balance that is so important to me. And I didn't realize until after it was done that it's one continuous path. Sometimes when you try to do a Celtic design, you'll end up where it's like two that are intertwined with each other. And that's kind of cool. But this one makes one continuous path, which I also really like. So, you know, I wouldn't be mad if it was two that are just intertwined, you know, like a knot. But the fact that it's all just one thing, I don't know. I really like that a lot more. And I don't know why that matters to me. I have a Celtic bag that basically it's up to the owner to figure out if it's one path or not. And yeah, I'll leave it to them to trace around. It's super complex. It was super crazy. And I really enjoyed drawing out the pattern for it, and then making it. It's like, uh-oh, what have I done? Because I had to multiply out the pattern several times over to, you know, to get the width for the bag itself. And then I had to I just worked into a bit of scrap string, some color that was contrast in, to be able to mark off like where the beginning side of each of the pattern was, so that way I wouldn't make mistakes. It was intense. It was probably one of the more difficult things I've ever made, but it came out pretty sweet. So I really proud of that one. Yeah, if you want, you can check it out. I think it's in my shop, and it's probably in the portfolio. Well, portfolio is just like a whole bunch of photos of everything I've ever made. Well, no, it's a bunch of photos of things I've made, but not exclusively everything, because it all started out with trying to make one of everything I could think of. And if I did another pattern but different colors, I excluded that. And then yeah, it's just a fraction. It really is just a fraction of everything I've ever made. Nowadays it works as like inspiration for me, like, oh, that was interesting, maybe I can try doing it different. And yeah, they can maybe do that for you too. Maybe you go through there and you find something interesting and you want to make it. Chances are there's probably a tutorial for it. If not, you can get a hold of me and I'll make a tutorial for it, because I'm always looking for things to work on. Doing videos on the daily kind of makes it harder to like turn down opportunities of making something interesting, because yeah, I'm kind of limited by my imagination a little bit, you know. Somehow it just still keeps working out. I can't believe it's been what, more than a year and a half of daily videos. So, well, weekdays. I don't do weekends, right? But yeah, more than a year and a half of doing this. So there is so much for you guys to be able to check out, and so many pearls of wisdom kind of dropped along the way that you kind of, if you watched all the videos, you would probably learn all the things that I do. But if you skip some, you're gonna miss some of the pieces that might have actually made your life easier. So I don't know, watch them all, I guess is what I'm saying. I mean, it's a lot of videos. I can't imagine how long it would take to actually watch all my videos. Plus it's live streams. Like there's more than 150 live streams, and there's the member streams, which is even more. So much for content. Anyways, this is the end of the bracelet. Thanks for hanging out with me and accepting all my rambling. And as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.